You look at Vox, you look at BuzzFeed, you look at Salon, you look at CNN, and they say, your race, your gender, it is your identity. It defines who you are. That's very different from saying, hey, here's my pocketbook, to, hey, this is who I am. This is the makeup of my soul, and that is entirely a lie simply to pander for votes. That's more off-putting to me. More off-putting to me than saying, I could write a check for $1 billion, is someone lying about being Injun. Let's get to Elizabeth Warren's top 5 campaign lies. I think this is important. We've done it with some other candidates, especially since right now Elizabeth Warren is the front. Please be Elizabeth Warren. Please be Elizabeth Warren. I want to see the election between Donald Trump and Elizabeth Warren so badly.
Yeah. Do you think she's the easiest out? Is that why? Or
Of
is it
course.
just going to be hilarious?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I think it's going to be
so
hilarious
easy.
too, though.
I want to hear what all of you think. Comment below and let me know. The reason why is Donald Trump doesn't really apologize.
No.
Right? He doesn't walk it back. And he's already gone to Pocahontas.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's going to be hilarious.
So I'm very curious as to where he takes it from there. Let's give you some context here. Lie number 5, and this is a big one. The lie that Elizabeth Warren perpetuated out there, that Bernie, Senator Sanders, said that a woman couldn't win the presidency. For people out there who don't know, I think most of you do at this point, there was a story that went out, and I remember I was sort of not reading a ton of news Christmas through New Year's, and so I was coming back in. Right. I understand what it's like for you guys. It's tough to digest. It's like drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah, it is.
And so you read it, and sometimes you assume, well, why would someone lie about that? And then you realize, Chris Cuomo. You go, it makes sense now. You connect the dots, right?
Yeah.
So the story out there, and it was on CNN, that's where I originally read it, and it was covered everywhere, was that Bernie Sanders told Elizabeth Warren, or made a phone call and said that a woman couldn't win the presidency. There were no sources provided, by the way, no legitimate sources. It was denied outright by the Sanders campaign, okay? Yeah. So I want to be clear to set that context. Claim, no corroboration, no source, denied by the Sanders campaign. And then the CNN moderators pulled this move live with Bernie Sanders.
You're saying that you never told Senator Warren that a woman could not win the election.
That is correct.
Senator Warren?
Pretty clear.
What did you think when Senator Sanders told you a woman could not win the election?
I disagreed.
I never thought I would wish that Bernie Sanders just had a back pocket full of anthrax. Just So, and this is important too. After the debate, Elizabeth Warren confronted Bernie, and this seems so staged, because CNN recorded it, but they had the right camera angle and the mic still going, and then they aired this footage.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
What?
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion? We'll have that discussion. You called me. You told me. All right, let's not do it now.
Listen,
that's classy.
Hats off to Bernie for that one, right? It's just me. Let's give a round of applause around that one.
It's the only one we will.
Here's the thing. I think that he's wrong, but I do think he's a godless man who's trying to do the right thing. Now, in his mind, the right thing involves killing babies and stealing people's money. I get that.
True. Yeah.
But he did try and take the high road there, which I appreciate.
He's trying to dodge what's obviously an attack.
But just think of that rule. Think of that rule according to Warren. You know, they just made up something that's an indictment on someone's character, and when he corrects the record, he's accusing her of being a liar.
Right.
And of course, again, he claims that he's never said that. I believe him, lest you think that I have no reason or context to believe that Bernie Sanders has a track record of saying that a woman could be president.
The real issue is not whether you're black or white, whether you're a woman or a man. In my view, a woman could be elected president of the United States. The real issue is, whose side are you on?
Again, I don't like Bernie Sanders, but I do appreciate truth. Can we say right there, I think a woman can become president?
Yeah.
And also, he looks like the scientist in a weird Nickelodeon show that should be for a kid. Like, it'll go through evaporation, precipitation, condensation, shit. Can I take another take? Precipitation, it rains. And by the way, this is something else that really bothered me with Elizabeth Warren. After this, some people were coming out accusing Bernie Sanders of being as bad as the Me Too rapist crowd, the rapist defender crowd. Yeah, so a prolific and well-respected journalist, and I hate this because sometimes you'll get this even on CNN or shows like The Young Turks or like Trevor Noah, they'll be, people, and they bring up a tweet from some random person. It's like, that's an egg with 2 followers, and it's just 2 other eggs. It wouldn't even be half of a half carton of eggs. So this journalist writes for Washington Post, New York Times, GQ, Gentlemen's Quarterly for the uninitiated. Julia Loff, she tweeted, I want to make sure I get it correct, still thinking about the Warren-Bernie squabble, and I have a question to people who have accused Warren of lying. Isn't the lesson of #MeToo in the last few years that we believe women and don't call them liars? Wow. I thought the lesson, which, by the way, was ill-founded, was that we always believe women who make accusations of rape, and I don't believe that. But now you're saying we have to believe all women on everything? Now we've expanded that from rape culture, which isn't a real thing, to anything a woman says ever.
Yeah.
That is so disturbing. Yeah, and she writes this, by the way, for GQ, Gentlemen's Quarterly. I am stunned to find out that your subscriptions are shrinking.
Wow.
That an angry feminist is writing for Hey, what's in this week's month's edition of GQ? Is it how to wear suits, how to pull off a skinny tie? No, wait. Men are pieces of shit, pieces of shit, pieces of shit, pieces of shit. And there's an ad for Armani cologne. That's about it.
I need my quarterly ass kicking for being a man. I'll read this magazine.
Gosh. GQ. That's what gentlemen want to read about all men being liars. Okay, so that's lie number 5. Let's look at Elizabeth Warren's track record on the truth, kind of outside of Bernie Sanders. Number 4. This one was a big one. A lot of people may have forgotten about this. She claimed that she was fired for being pregnant. Yeah, so
my contract was renewed for the next year, and I was all set to go. But I was pregnant at the time, wasn't showing yet. About 2 months later, when I was visibly pregnant, about 6 months along, the principal called me in and said that he wished me luck, but he'd be more comfortable having someone else in that job, and he was going to hire someone else for the job. And that was it. I lost my job.
A component of that may be true in that I, too, would be comfortable hiring someone else, but it has nothing to do with the fact that you are with child.
No,
it's just you.
I, too, would be more comfortable with anyone else, and it has nothing to do with your miracle of creating life. School records, here's important. They show, by the way, that not only was her contract unanimously renewed, she was not fired, she resigned.
That's different.
Yeah, she resigned. That's what happened.
Almost contradictory.
I just want to make clear. I just want to let that ride because sometimes if you talk, people went, no. She wasn't fired. She resigned. Unless you think that these former employers are lying, it actually tends to match up with the unofficial testimony of, you guessed it.
It was in a public school system, but I worked with the children with disabilities. And I did that for a year. And then that summer, I actually didn't have the education courses, so I was on an emergency certificate, it was called. And I went back to graduate school and took a couple of courses in education and said, I don't think this is going to work out for me. And I was pregnant with my first baby. So I had a baby and stayed home for a couple of years.
First off, but she looks older back then.
I know.
It's incredible.
Is it Benjamin Button week? What happened?
It's terrible when you rebut yourself.
I have no idea. Imagine being the person who has to, anyway, I don't want to. I can't get into any. She's unattractive. So
watch out the guidelines, man.
I think I can say that because it's not a definitive claim.
Sure,
it's more opinionative.
It is. Yes. Right. Subject.
I find you repulsive, but not everyone.
Not everyone.
Yeah, not inherently.
We have some people in the studio here who, take what they can get. By the way, speaking of threading the needle carefully, which we will not do, hit the notification bell if you are on YouTube. Hit all notifications because apparently there's another step right now.
You
Bill?
got to hit the bell, and then there's going to say all. You want to go to all so you can get all the notifications, get the stream, make sure you're here.
Because you don't get the live stream if you don't hit all.
Okay. So. And of course, we have new videos that go up every day. Is it 8 or 9 Eastern?
I'm not even going to guess anymore.
Okay,
9 Eastern.
Guess. And of course, that's why we do ask that you join Mug Club, ladderwithcarter.com/mugclub. There's a lot more content there. The entire Blaze catalog, because these rules keep changing. That's how we stay in touch with you. Lie number 3, she claimed that her children attended public schools. There needs to be a little bit of context here. A woman told Elizabeth Warren that their children had different opportunities because Warren's children probably went to private schools, and Elizabeth Warren immediately corrected her, saying that they attended public schools.
We don't have the same choice that you make for your kids because I read that your children went to private school.
My children went to public school.
Okay. Now that seems pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, it
does.
Meaning a lie. Here's the thing. It's like, I don't know if you know this about John Edwards. Actually, my wife had read the book. I don't know how many books there are on John Edwards. It seems to me once you get to the point where he's making a sex tape with a pregnant lady while his wife has cancer in the hospital, you close the book and go, he's the villain.
Done.
Yeah, you'd think.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Big reveal.
But he used to buy like Armani suits, like expensive Armani, Versace, Hugo Boss, Catone suits, and then he would take out the tag and sew in J.C. Penney's.
Really?
Yes, he would do that because he wanted to seem like he was of the people. This is what the Democrats do. It's like the fake rappers getting shot in the face stories to have street cred. They're just like you. Their kids went to public schools. Look, he shops at JCP.
I think they call it
The
that.
man of the people.
But I don't understand this. Why is it bad if your kids went to a private school?
Yeah.
Right.
Why is it bad to wear an Armani suit? At least President Trump kind of owns it. He's the one guy who's like, he goes out there and says, I'm really rich and the middle class needs some help. That you can have both things.
He couldn't deny it at this point, though.
No, I don't think he denied it.
Way too far past
If
that.
anything, he embellished it.
Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
he did.
I will be the first trillionaire. And by will be mean am, okay? So her kids did go to public school for like a semester. I couldn't find out how long, but for the majority of their school careers, they went to private schools with tuitions ranging from $17,000 to $40,000 a year. All right, lie number 2. She claimed that she was too poor to afford college. Now, this is important because, again, it doesn't match up with her other claims. Very Joe Biden-esque with this. Elizabeth Warren claimed that college wasn't affordable in her day and that her parents couldn't afford a college application, let alone putting her through college.
By the time I graduated from high school, my folks couldn't afford a college application, much less to send me off to 4 years at a university. So like a lot of Americans, I don't have a straight path story.
She said I don't have a straight pants story?
I don't know.
Path story.
I don't know what that is.
I thought she was talking about boot cut.
Is that straight cut back
Now,
then?
here's the truth. Her parents didn't put her through college because she went to George Washington University on a scholarship. Dropped out of college to get married, ended up going to another public college for $50 a semester, which she herself tweeted out, I want to make sure I get this right, so I go to my non-prompter. Don't you love this iPad tech? I got my degree thanks to a quality public college where tuition was just $50 a semester. That kind of opportunity doesn't exist for students today. Again, I don't care that she got a scholarship. I don't care that she went to a community college. I think that's actually a good point, that $50 a semester, there's a way to make certain colleges affordable. But the problem is we have two contradicting narratives here. First, you have the one where she was a poor child. She was just a poor black child who couldn't afford college. Then you have the second, that it was so easy in her day to go to college because it was so cheap as opposed to today. And it depends on who she's talking to and what bill of goods she needs to sell, and that's what bothers me. Okay, and lie number 1, I think you could have seen this coming. I'm sorry, I get it. But actually, we did a whole segment on this, and we had to remove it because I was wearing the Socialism Big shirt from YouTube.
Don't even say
Asian
it.
Bill knows that, but it's available at Mud Club, so it's a little more in-depth. And Jimmy Norton is coming up after this, who's in The Irishman. We'll be talking about the film being nominated for the Academy Award. Lie number 1, what's the word, Indian?
It's something a lot like that.
Let's go with Redskins.
Yes.
Redskin heritage.
Okay.
Jeez.
Native American. Unless you think
banned.
Indian is offensive, wait till you see the clip.
Oh.
And then I have a microfiber cloth for the egg on your face. She's repeatedly used the supposed street cred of being Native American as a talking point and just as a refresher on the campaign trail.
My father's parents said, absolutely not. You can't marry her because she's part Cherokee and she's part Delaware. My papa had high cheekbones like all of the Indians do.
Oh.
She said it, not me.
Oh.
She also implied to have
Only
high
we can say.
cheekbones. Which I mean, they all have high cheekbones.
Every one of them?
All of them? All of them?
And no one else. Apparently, no one in the entire
No one.
universe.
None of the
has
Scandinavian
cheekbones.
countries.
And by the way, she didn't just dabble in like, oh, I'm part Native American. She wrote a cookbook about it. She went out. She was
Monetizing
she was speaking on
How about
reservations.
Chow?
She's not. She's not the DNA test that she took to prove, which is remarkable to me. This just shows you the ego on these people. Like, someone should have advised her this was a bad idea. She took a DNA test to prove that she was Indian, her words, not mine, and it actually showed that she may have less Indian blood than your average non-Indian American. A whopping 1 in 1,024th native. By the way, for reference, here's my 23andMe. I am about as much sub-Saharan African as she is Indian.
My dog, man.
There we go.
Oh, these guys are bonding. It's awesome.
It's so cute.
Imagine if I went out in this show and I just started dropping N-bombs. And I was like, and I wrote a book about the plight of black Americans, the history of slavery. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Here's my 23andMe. It sounds absurd. It is exactly the same. The percentage is entirely comparable. Here's what's really sinister about it, though. Not that someone lied about their heritage. That's kind of crappy, but, maybe you do it at dinner parties to make yourself interesting once the conversation sort of reached its end with the reverse aging gimmick. Here's the deal. She has claimed repeatedly that even though she's part Indian, Native American, she's never benefited. She's never used it.
Yeah.
I never used my family tree to get a break or get ahead. I never used it to advance my career.
Question. The book deal, powwow chow.
Any of those.
Does that apply?
I don't know.
Was that advance just a figment of our imagination?
It doesn't, because she actually had to give the advance back because the book sold so poorly.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Technically, she can
actually, I
write
don't
that
know
one
if
off.
it sold or not,
Yeah.
but I just assumed it
It had
did
nothing to do with
Yeah.
it. That's because she was a woman.
Oh,
So-
she'll never win.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
You're either
That's what
J.K.
Bernie
Rowling
said, right?
Or you're not.
or no one's reading you. And even now, no one's reading you because of gender bending. So, what was it, the term TERF? Anyway, that happened during the break. I don't want to get into it. Nope.
Don't go there.
Skip it.
But here's the thing. Not only did she sell a Native American cookbook, she used her Native American identity to land a teaching job at Harvard.
Ooh.
In their law review, I have a lawyer here, hailed her as being the first woman of color hired there. Getting a little loose with the terminology, aren't we, Harvard?
Yeah.
And I think this is important because we know people will say, well, Donald Trump lies. Granted, he does. Okay, no one is perfect. But the difference here is that, and this is just my opinion, and I want to hear what you think, Donald Trump exaggerates actions.
Yeah.
Right? Donald Trump, what he has a tendency to do, there's a difference between lying, like a sinister lie, and being a bit of a bullshit artist.
Yeah. Right.
And anyone who's ever worked in sales, I mean, you know that. You're selling a car, this is the best car on the lot,
Yeah.
right? It's a
this car.
stereotype for a reason. He will exaggerate, right, the length of his successes, and then he'll diminish maybe the depths of his failures, right?
Right,
So Donald Trump, yeah, I get it. In other words, he might be worth $3 billion. Worth $7 billion. Okay, no, excuse me, $7 billion. Like, well, hold on a second. We have the Deutsche Bank. It says you're worth $3 billion. They are fake news. They're not a news outlet. It's just a Jewish accountant named Todd. And then he'll diminish. Like Donald Trump may have been a good athlete in school, but he goes, "I was the best athlete in school."
Right, yeah.
Okay, Rudy wishes he were me. And like Rudy wasn't even that good of an
probably
athlete
true, yeah.
he was-
because he wasn't me. That's what I'm
There you go.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he exaggerates actions and he'll diminish his failures. Maybe, hey, how many times have you filed bankruptcy? Never. Well, okay, I get it. Your business has filed bankruptcy, not you personally. So I think that is different. Sort of exaggerating or maybe embellishing actions versus Elizabeth Warren, who misrepresents who she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She misrepresents who she is as a person. Make no mistake, we all laughed at Rachel Dolezal. Remember the fake black NAACP sideshow bob hair?
Yeah. Yep.
We all laughed. It's no different. It's no different than
Good
Elizabeth
times.
Warren. And here's the thing. This is so important. When people out there, when you read, you look at Vox, you look at BuzzFeed, you look at Salon, you look at CNN, and they say, your race, your gender, it is your identity. It defines who you are. That's very different from saying, hey, here's my pocketbook to, hey, this is who I am. This is the makeup of my soul. And that is entirely a lie simply to pander for votes. That's more off-putting to me. More off-putting to me than saying, I could write a check for $1 billion, is someone lying about being Indian. You know what's in here? It's just water. That's why they call it acting. It actually smells garlicky. There's something wrong with the water. I think it's going through the ice maker. We don't have the baking soda in the fridge. If you liked this video, subscribe, hit notifications, or just check back every single day because we upload a new video every single day. And this was actually taken from the full show, a full hour show that we upload every single Thursday. Click that right now. Go watch the entire show. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But if you stop by, just don't bother me. I'm going to enjoy my garlic water.